Welcome back, everyone, to Red Spotlight Entertainment. I'm Alexis, joined by Alexis Moreno and David Francisco, and welcome to another one of our audio commentary reaction series. Last time we did As Above, So Below, and this time we're in for a little bit of a more cheery mood than that. I think some would consider it more appropriate for the holidays, which are quickly approaching us. And of course, with the release of Wicked coming to theaters and all of a sudden people giving a shit about that, well, it seems like maybe we should take some time and reacquaint ourselves with The Wizard of Oz, which is what we're going to be watching and reacting to today. Now, unlike any of the other reactions, all of us have seen this movie. I would say I'm the only one that has seen it the least amount of times. I don't even know how many times Alexis or David have seen the film. I would say that before we start this, well, I guess we could just say real quickly. I know The Wizard of Oz through cultural osmosis. In that I knew of it, I know the story because it's so ingrained, and that's I think the good starting point. This is not only just another movie we're reacting to. It's not only one of the most iconic movies. Like, this may be the icon. This may be the movie. It is really hard to think of other movies that have ever been like created that like supersede this one. Like, this one is so synonymous with what people think movies are, and it is a story that has touched so many people that to this day people are like still really amped up about it. And to this day, 124 years after the novel was written, there are still new versions of the story being created. I just think it's pretty amazing that it has withstood that test of time. And there's also just so much history that we're going to get into involving this movie. It is, I mean, you think of old Hollywood, you think of Hollywood royalty, you think of just maybe one of the first big blockbusters out there. You also think like, damn, how badly must Walt Disney have been kicking himself he didn't make this movie? Like, all the things that come to your mind when when you're watching this and you think about the history of Wizard of Oz. And so I'm a new fan to it, I guess you could say. I watched the picture in its entirety for the first time about 4 years ago during COVID. Of course, I'd seen clips of it. Of course, I mean, my first version, I think of it was the Muppets Wizard of Oz.
Oh my god!
I know, because the Muppets are great. I love the Muppets. But I think that was like my first like true like version of the story with who was in the movie? Was it Ashanti? And I don't know if Queen Latifah was in there. I know Quentin Tarantino had a cameo in there. It was a weird movie. No, Quentin Tarantino had a cameo. The whole movie stops, and then it cuts to Quentin Tarantino like pitching Kermit his version of the Muppets Wizard of Oz. It's insane and unhinged. Like,
the only
it's
thing that
definitely
stands out to me on that one is them getting their like the things that they wanted. Like, I think it was Kermit who played the Scarecrow, and he's like, "You get brains." And he just puts Raisin Bran or something like that on his head and everything. That's still like the only thing that stands out to me. I can't remember what the rest get.
It's been a while since I've seen it, obviously, but I remember during COVID, while we all needed things to watch, and it was like, I think this is a pretty good time to watch The Wizard of Oz, and it's, I mean, to say that it is perfect in just about every way is probably an understatement. Yeah, it's, and then of course, I think to me, more than before having even watched the movie, we all knew the iconic images from the film itself, the iconic like Dorothy dress, the Emerald City, the Yellow Brick Road, Munchkin Land, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Which, okay, what was my first interaction with Somewhere Over the Rainbow? It was so interestingly to me that on TikTok the clip resurfaced. And someone had put it on there, and this is perhaps the first time in almost 20 years that I was like, "Oh yeah, I was there when that was first aired." I remember, I think my first memory of Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and I'm really curious to see if you two remember this, was The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. There was an episode where Mandy was doing a beauty pageant and she was continuously coached to smile, but when she smiled, it ripped the space-time continuum and the whole thing blew up. And then it was like this 2001 Space Odyssey reference where like these flashing lights happen, and the episode ends with Billy, Mandy, and Grimm basically being the Powerpuff Girls in a multiverse reality. Anyway, that's where I first remember hearing "Somewhere Over the Rainbow," I think, and understand.
I vaguely remember that, but I don't remember the song.
I'll show you the clip later on, but David seems to remember that episode.
I remember the episode for sure, but I don't remember her singing "Somewhere Over the Rainbow." That's funny.
Yeah, it was a song that that was a song she was singing.
I don't remember the song mainly because she was just like so not into it at all. Like she wasn't, giving anything to her singing or anything like that, basically. So I just kind of blocked it out of my memory, that part.
Yeah. I don't remember. I knew what they were doing, obviously, but for people who watched Victorious, they did an episode that was an homage to this, which of course featured Ariana Grande, who she would also find herself. Did Ariana Grande do Wicked on Broadway?
No.
No? Did she do something? I know she had a Broadway...
She was on Broadway. I believe she did the Broadway or play of that movie. I think. Don't. Oh God, I'm scared. I think. It's called. The movie's called 13, I believe. And it's like a. I think that's what it was. I could be completely wrong. Let me just look it up just to make sure.
Just to be sure about that.
She was on Broadway, or like a play or something, maybe off Broadway or something. Before she did Victorious.
Yeah. There was also that Family Guy cutaway where the Tin Man was like trying to throw himself on other people sexually.
I thought it was gonna be the other one where it was Dorothy saying goodbye to everyone, and she goes, "I think I'll miss you the most, Scarecrow." And then Tin Man and the Lion were.
I remember that one now. I remember that one now.
It's like, okay, fuck you. It was like this cutaway scene where Dorothy says goodbye to the Scarecrow, but she says, "I think I'll miss you the most," and all that. And Tin Man and the Lion are kind of like, "Okay, fine, fuck you then." Just like, we like you too, but.
But in what
Family Guy cutaway.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Okay.
It makes sense in Family Guy.
Yeah.
So again, let's all of the we just talked about Billy and Mandy, Family Guy, Victorious, and the Muppets. Again, cultural osmosis. This story is just so well known that it's just all over the place. Like it's in everything and everywhere. And of course, as I mentioned, Ariana Grande is going to be in Wicked, which itself is a version of The Wizard of Oz. So, yeah, we're doing this to get into the vibes and getting excited for it. So, you guys, quickly, your history with this movie.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure as kids you made me watch it or something. So.
Yeah, that's right. David was her slave.
To go back to Ariana Grande. Ariana Grande, it was 13 the musical, which is based off of a movie that's like based about like these teenage girls and stuff. I'm sure you've seen the cover of it, but yeah. Anyways, yes, I don't remember watching this movie for the first time. I know I was very little, and yes, I would make David watch it. I was Dorothy, I believe, for Halloween one year. Every time I do my hair in braids, I think about I don't know, this movie just has always been, like, there, for me, at least. Like, I can't remember a time when, like, it wasn't there. I feel like this movie and Grace were always kind of, like, together for me, like
Grease.
I
thought you said Grace.
Yeah, same.
No, Grease.
Okay.
I don't know, like I love this movie so much. I guess like my love for this movie goes so deep. The only thing I will say is, like, with Wicked, I know some of the songs. I've never seen the musical. I honestly didn't even know what it was about until the trailer started coming out.
Yeah.
Not, like, because I didn't like it or anything. I do. But I don't know why. I just, like, was never, like, I don't know. It was introduced to me, but, like, I don't know. I just never thought to, like, look it up. But yes, I did watch the Muppets one. I think the aside from the Wizard of Oz, in, like, this kind of world, the other thing that stands out to me is David and I would watch Return to Oz, which, if you haven't seen it, it's
I was gonna ask you about that. Peter loves that movie.
I love that movie.
I know of it, and I know its reputation, and I've seen some imagery from the film, and it's really hard to believe because, again, when you're us and our age covering Disney of the 2020s, it's really hard to fathom that they would ever make a movie like that. Of course, a bygone era, but people love Return to Oz as well.
Yeah, I always thought it was really creepy, but I loved it. I also think that The Wizard of Oz was kind of creepy in itself, but I love it.
Well, they even made a movie that made him the main character with James Franco, which isn't that interesting.
Yeah.
With Sam Raimi.
I did not watch.
You didn't watch that one?
I didn't watch it.
That's really funny how that was, I think, the first movie I think Kyle and I watched together in a theater.
That's so funny.
Isn't that hilarious?
Wow.
Of all the movies, that would be the first one, because I think it was like 2013. He had turned, yeah. It was, he wanted to see it for his 18th birthday. I know. I'm like, okay. I mean, I was like, okay, well, we'll do whatever you want. It's like, okay. Anyway, what was cool about the movie was the color, the spin, thumbs up for Oz the Great and Powerful. There was some really cool stuff about it, but it wasn't really all that interesting, and people didn't really care much for it really at the same time. But it is also just, if you like Oz, it's like, well, here's the story of how the wizard got to Oz in the first place and got to be a grifter and everything. There used to be a time where grifters had talent and people would respect them. Now, not so much anymore, because they're mostly just fascist and they're capitalist monsters, and they're kind of ruining our society. They're destroying civilization, and they're kind of being almost single-handedly responsible for why we're all going to die. But again, back then, they had some talent, and we would like, oh, wow, you're pretty cool at pulling off that con. And so the Wizard of Oz really committed to that. Sorry for talking about the real world for a second, but like, yeah. Yeah, some things that just wouldn't translate to today. Anyway, but yeah, it's a really good place to start. Just to right here, there's a lot of facts and trivia that we're going to mention throughout the video. So get comfortable. We're going to watch the movie itself. Also, just going to relive it and experience it. But of course, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about all of the people. Julie Garland, Ray Bolger, Jack Haley, Bert Lahr, Frank Morgan, Margaret Hamilton, Billy Burke, Clara Blandick, Charlie, Grapewind, Pat Walsh, Adriana Casalati, who, interesting name to pop up there. If we all know our trivia, we know who that person is. Harry Earls, Jerry Marin, Parnell Saint, Aubin, Billy Bletcher, Pinto Colvig, Charles Becker, Mitchell Lewis, Buster Brody, Ethelda Leopold, Billy Curtis, Eleanor Keaton, Buddy Ebsen, and Angelo Rosito. That's the all of the actors. And then these are just some of the names. Victor Fleming, one of the directors. King Vidor, one of the co-directors. Producers, I know there's a lot of subject matter there. Arthur Freed, Mervyn LeRoy as the producers. Florence Rierson, Edgar Allan Wolfe, and Noel Langley as writers. The original writer, of course, Al Frank Baum for the original novel. These people are, I doubt no one is alive anymore from the time that this was made or released. I don't think anyone is left alive. But anyway, it's important to remember all of these people and the work, because they may have not known it. Maybe some did, but they made it. They not only made a hit, they not only made like a classic, but perhaps they made the classic.
Mm-hmm.
This is a pretty seismic movie. Victor Fleming, of course, that year would also be with Gone with the Wind, and that's an interesting story also in and of itself. Anyway, with all that being said, I think we can go ahead and start with the movie. I think we're all watching it on different platforms, so we're having our fingers crossed to make sure that we're all going to start on the same Lion MGM. Of course, the score and this whole opening, it just screams classic old Hollywood, like just immediately thrown in there, and just, oh my god, I love movies.
I mean,
and
this is also like the movie that got me into old, like classic Hollywood movies as well. Like seeing this, like the opening credits and stuff is always, it's like a comfort.
For sure. I mean, just to have an overture, which of course classic Hollywood overtures have a combination of all of the songs. We just like had one of the first ones, a little bit of Somewhere Over the Rainbow, which by itself, without the words, is still just like, oh my god. But it's also just again, it throws you back into that time. It gives you a sense of what it was like to live in that time. And we're so rarely given films these days that just like start off with credits like this. And to the young in heart, we dedicate this picture. It says a lot about your movie that we're 80 some years later, and people love it. And also, we start off.
Did she hurt you? She tried
with these,
didn't she? Come on, we'll go tell Uncle Henry and Auntie Em.
Are these considered black and white scenes? Because there's a bit of a...
Kind of?
Yeah.
Kind of, but it also isn't entirely black and white. There's...
And just listen to what Miss Gulch did to Toto.
Yeah, I can't remember the name for the specific shading and all that, but...
all of these were shot by whoever took over after Victor Fleming left. Victor Fleming left to go do Gone with the Wind. So whoever took over after, I forgot the name, but he ended up doing all these scenes. All the other stuff in Oz had been done. So interestingly enough, like most films do not film in sequence, and this is no exception.
Once or twice a week, and he can't catch her old cat anyway. And now she says she's going to get the sheriff.
Dorothy, we're busy.
I think they did the ending first. Like, the ending in Oz first.
Probably, yeah.
What am I going to do about Miss Gulch just because Toto chases her old cat?
Listen, honey, I got them hogs to get in.
You know what's so beautiful about this is, like, I think what The Wizard of Oz has, and you see it in every frame, is it does two things at once. You can totally tell that this is a soundstage.
Yeah.
This is...
That was something else I was going to mention. Finish your thought, and then
I was going to say, though, it's like, you can tell it's a soundstage, but because of how damn good the soundstage is, you don't give a fuck. Because it's so, you buy into it. That's how it makes me feel anyway.
Mm-hmm. So, there was this show that David and I would watch, and this was, like, the beginning days of, like, Netflix and stuff, or at least, like, when it started to get big. So
before the dark times.
It's been a while. I honestly, I can't remember the name of the show, but it had to do with finding like movie props and stuff like that. So there was like this group of people, the main guy, his favorite movie of all time was The Wizard of Oz. And so throughout the whole show, you know, they would find movie props and they would get all excited, and they would do like what's it called when they like sell the item but it's like to bidders?
An auction.
And the whole time though, he would always be looking for Wizard of Oz props because I don't know if you guys know, but a lot of the stuff from the movie got lost or got sold or whatever. The glass slippers, the ruby slippers, have been like going everywhere.
The glass.
At one point, I know.
This wrong movie.
Like I think in the show, the person that had them was damn, I can't remember people's names right now or names in general.
You can take the time to look them up if you need to. I mean, we have an
Carrie
hour.
Fisher's mom.
You mean Debbie Reynolds?
Yeah.
Yes, she actually had a whole warehouse, or maybe multiple warehouses of just movie props because she was a collector. And she had the ruby slippers.
Was it the ruby slippers or the silver?
I think it was the ruby ones.
Okay.
The silver ones, I think, got stolen.
Wow, look at that. The original ruby slippers from The Wizard of Oz.
Magical.
I can't believe it. Look at how beautiful they are. These are the fabled Arabian design slippers. For the first 2 weeks of filming The Wizard of Oz, Judy Garland wore these slippers designed by Gilbert Adrian, the most famous designer in Hollywood history. After they fired the director, the Arabian slippers were set aside and a more standard style slipper was used. Truly one of a kind. But I would say the sky's the limit. I wouldn't be surprised if they brought 500,000, $1 million.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I would. I'll send you a link to the show. I'm sure David will find a clip. But you should watch it. It's really good.
I don't know if are there any clips of Howard Ashman talking about Wizard of Oz and this song here? Because I feel like this song is like one of the main templates of the I Want song that he would kind of, popularize. And I don't know if you remember watching in Yesterworld's video, they wanted to cut the song.
Yeah.
Of course.
God.
Like any other I Want song.
Like, in this moment, I'm just reminded that, yes, Katzenberg wanted to cut Part of Your World out of The Little Mermaid. And it's like The Wizard of Oz, like, of all the songs you want to cut, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Somewhere Over the Rainbow is not one of the best songs in film history. It's one of the best songs ever written in the history of the world. And she sounds amazing.
But then also, this is something I just missed in movies, like, not just sound stations in general, but like just a place for the actors to do things on. I mean, the most recent one,
act against. Yes.
I mean, the most recent one was Dune 2, but then also Everything Everywhere All at Once, where, I mean, it was just an office space, but dang, did they use everything they could on that one. But in Dune,
a real set that allowed the actors to really, really use it, where so many big movies don't really have sets like this. And if they do have sound stages, okay, for example, if this movie was made today, that soundstage, I mean, the only thing real in there maybe would be her head, and everything else would be animated against the wall.
They would legit CG the whatever thing she's sitting on. Like, that's what they would do today. And in Dune, it was Rebecca Ferguson who asked the question of like, oh, how did it feel, acting like in an actual desert and everything? And she was just like, it helped so much. Like the heat running in the sand, like it just kind of adds more, or like she's able to play more with her acting being in that area and all that.
I want to find out from you, like, what's the most valuable benefit for you as a performer being able to shoot on location and to actually tangibly feel those places?
I mean, can you imagine someone answering, oh, God, I love me some blue screen, when you have no depth or feeling or heat or tactility. Is that even a word? I'm going to go with it. But that is it, isn't it? The fact is the dimension, the depth, running away, running towards, grabbing, difficulty, sand. Sand is hard to walk in, guys. It's really tricky. And the mountains and the rocks, I mean, come on, it's just... It puts you in a state of mind of realism within quotation marks.
But also with this movie specifically, though, like, I mean, you got the camera moving everywhere within the scene, when they're just like, the actors have to like pop off on each line every second, like one after the other. At the time, that's just a lot of work. Whereas now you can just kind of fucking, well, I mean, anything from the pandemic made where you can tell someone was not there during the scene or something. Like, they were probably like green screen into the background and then added lines or something like that. And it's annoying.
Even before the pandemic, Marvel would just do that on a Tuesday.
Off the fight? How would
What
it
they
be if
do.
she keeps him tied up? He's really gentle. With gentle people, that is. Well,
But yeah, the sets here are just absolutely stunning. Like they're worlds into themselves, and you just want to spend the whole time sitting there. This is also pretty fucked up. Like,
Yeah.
she's taking her dog away because why? It bit her? Is that what happened?
Uh-huh.
Well, maybe don't be a bitch.
for 23 years I've been dying to tell you what I thought of you. And now, well, being a Christian woman, I can't say it.
That was the 1939 way of telling somebody off. I mean, that was basically the 1939 way of saying go to hell.
No, yeah.
Yeah. I love how much this movie is like ingrained in just like even just in the way that we talk. Like that the song right now, that's like Jaws, the Jaws song before that one.
We've got to get away. We've got to run away.
The Kansas line. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, yeah.
like
They
you just
did it.
know
They
what they're
used it
saying.
twice. They used it twice. They used it in both Avatar movies.
You are not in Kansas anymore. You are on Pandora.
Oh god. I remember David had a bear from Build-A-Bear, and he named it Toto.
Did he?
Oh, yeah. I still have it, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, Toto, that's not polite. We haven't been asked yet.
He's perfectly welcome.
You also just got to think about like so much of the DNA of the story in this film is just innocence. And I think there's an innocence in everybody in this that they see in the film that they yearn for. Like just the idea of every person she encounters, well, most every person she encounters is helpful and kind. Whereas, again, think about it in the context today, that just can't happen.
Yeah.
I think people in a modern day audience would think, why is this little girl talking to this old man? Shouldn't she like, stranger danger and run, get the fuck away?
Mm-hmm.
Which is really just, it's just the sad state of like where life is.
Yeah.
And I think when you see it on screen here, like this is just so much more wholesome, and you'd wish things would be this way.
Of a running horse.
That's our farm.
Yeah.
And God, does this movie look beautiful, even without the color? It's like I'm looking at every frame, and I just can't stop looking at it.
Yeah.
That's Aunt Em.
Yes, her name is Emily.
That's right.
I love Dorothy in this like segment of the movie, like how she looks. Obviously, like, the color, is what is more
Right, it
iconic
pops.
in the movie.
Yeah.
But I love how she looks in black and white.
Someone she's taken care of in sickness.
I had the measles once.
Gotta look up.
And she stayed with
What's it called? Like the specific kind of.
You just like Google, what's the black and white they use in Wizard of Oz?
But she's putting her hand on her heart. Well, she's dropping down on the bed.
Oh, no.
That's
Because it is black and white. It just have this filter on it.
Oh, you don't suppose she could really be sick, do you? Oh, I've got to go home right away.
So you see, what was also pretty like sweet of him to do, it's like,
Send her back.
yeah, by making it think like it's her idea.
Goodbye, Professor Marvel, and thanks a lot.
Which is also very relatable because like, what kid doesn't dream of like, that's it, I've had it, I'm running away from home.
Poor little kid. I hope she gets home all right.
Okay.
Which, by the way, if hold on, David, if Kyle were here, he actually did almost succeed in doing that. But his fatal mistake was going on a goodbye tour before he left. Where he literally would walk to certain people's houses and say, goodbye, I'm leaving. The idiot announced he was running away from home to every person. And who do you think it got back to? His parents. Couldn't even do that. Anyway, David,
Oh, okay, so it was filmed in black and white, but apparently it was then colored in sepia. Sepia?
Sepia. Yes, I've heard of that before. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard of that before.
Yeah, and apparently it was done to get the feeling of being a vacated place, like an old photograph in motion.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It's just so funny that like so many things went wrong with this movie, but so much thought was put into it at the same time.
Oh my gosh, that one part in the video you guys sent me about the making of, basically the making of this, where it was I believe the first director that they got.
He'd also been one of the few filmmakers to openly embrace a relatively new concept, to focus on the quality of movies as opposed to the quantity. This was essentially unheard of back then, as most studios pumped out movies like an assembly line, usually well over 50 per year, hoping every so often one would stick. By contrast, Mervyn LeRoy wanted to focus on finding artistic perfection within his films, and was growing frustrated with the studio's mass production mentality.
Wow, history repeats itself.
Yeah, but there was also, to be fair, more talent involved back in those days, and they had more competence as well, because they were able to crank out that many movies and still somehow make them look good. I mean, even this film, I think what a miracle it is that it feels so cohesive that it would not be, that dissimilar from the other classics, which had like one visionary. There were so many people involved coming in and out of the movie. It is a damn near miracle that it feels cohesive at all.
Yeah.
And they were still able to pull it off. And if Hollywood still knew how to do that today, there wouldn't be as many problems as there are right now with that. But you are right. I do think that this also, because of the nature of the film, they were forced to go at it slowly. Slower than they certainly would have liked. And I think part of the reason also why they had to go slow was because these sound stages were like 100 degrees inside. There was no air conditioning, and they had to open the doors just to air it out, which sounds miserable enough. I don't know if anyone has seen Babylon, but they have a little bit of a scene in the movie where they kind of show how miserable it was, to give you an idea. But then also for the people who were in costume, I just can't imagine. Like, they were like under these huge hot lights, causing the degree temperature inside to be 100 and no air conditioning. So that was also another factor. What'd you say, Alexis?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. This transition that we're about to watch, stunning. Stunning to the point where it stops you dead in your tracks and it takes your breath away. And I love how it lures you in here. It's quiet. Nothing's happening. Then she slowly opens the door. Not that one. Yeah, that's it. And the color comes in.
Her just like going out is what kind of like sells the scene for me. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you see her still in the sepia tone, but then like you see the color, like the camera zooms in, you see the colors and everything, but her walking out after you just saw her in the other tone just kind of like goes, oh shoot, how'd you do that? In a way.
Maybe the single most iconic set in the history of film. And we should also mention, again, if you watch Yesterworld's video, and I would recommend anyone to go watch his work on anything, he's incredible. But with the making of the film, I think one of the first directors of the film didn't quite get what this needed, and didn't really bring the level of grandness that it needed. And so early versions of the film, first of all, they had kind of horrible looking character designs and wigs and costumes, but and then hair color choices, but also the sets just weren't. I love how we're still a full minute here. We're just like watching her walk around and taking it all in. Movies today would take a lot and honestly benefit a lot from taking a page from this, just like letting us breathe and be in a space. Mm-hmm. James Cameron says it himself that people forget to put beauty in films. They forget to just have the characters there and hang out and be there and live there. We have to continuously keep moving and moving along. My final point I was going to say is the first director had a much smaller kind of pathetic version of this, and it just you saw the need why he was let go. David.
Mm-hmm. No, wait, you mentioned like how they don't take a second to breathe in. This is one of the biggest complaints I had on people's reviews for Avatar 2. People just kept complaining like, oh my gosh, James Cameron is showing off, like, because there's so many scenes of them underwater showing off all the creatures and everything. And people are like, oh,
James Cameron.
Movie. That's the
movie.
Like, James Cameron is he's sucking his own dick, trying to show off this whole new world that he created and everything. And I'm like, and? Let him. Like, he came up with this, like, let him show off. But then also
costumes.
Oh, yeah. But then also, like, you're supposed to care about this world. Live in it for a minute, you know?
There's the house.
We just saw Glinda here.
Mm-hmm.
What a damn costume.
Just everything about this movie. I love this movie so much.
Remember when Ellen hosted the Oscars, and I think they did like a music number of Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and then afterwards Ellen comes out.
Not cool, guys. They were going to call me. I'll do it by myself. You had the power. Oh, never mind.
I don't remember that bit.
Oh my gosh, I love that one. I think that was probably my favorite bit when she hosted. Because she just comes out and it's like, oh, did I miss it?
She had way better bits than a lot of the people that followed for the Oscars. Because there've been some pretty bad bits lately.
Oh yeah.
She says is the name of the star.
I don't know why this just went into my brain. Can you imagine a fucked up version of this with Tim Burton? The visual style he would do.
That one would be scary. This is my favorite song.
Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead?
I always play this song.
It's also just nice to see really bright colors. Again,
I know.
That don't look muddy.
Yeah, but also I gotta bring it up again. Like the first images of Wicked, there's just I couldn't see a single thing, and everyone was just like, "What is this?"
Killed us so completely that we thank you.
It's just, how are you gonna make a movie based on this and have it look like that? Like, please.
But also, like, for studios, color is distracting. Like, you know? Like, if you make something colorful, like we are going to be like, ooh, look at that. And
we're going to miss all the imperfections.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean?
Like, I'm sure there's some imperfections if, like, I look at it closely, you know? Maybe some people in the background just not doing something or what. But, you know, adding color will distract you from that.
I always love this part.
Oh my god.
And then the lollipop.
But look how they're utilizing the whole space.
Yeah, yeah.
The whole thing just feels alive.
Like, the show that I was talking about earlier, that was the first time I like realized like or knew about like movie props or became aware of them. Because the guy would talk so passionately about this movie and just like, I mean, obviously because it's iconic, but like, just how like, there was so many things that went into like a lot of the movie props, the costumes and stuff like that, like being lost. So like, it's like super rare to find them and they're so important. And I mean, how you were saying earlier, like this movie is like the movie, right? there's even like today there's a girl on TikTok that I follow that talks about the history of the movie, and she's also like she collects movie props and stuff like that, and it has to do with the Wizard of Oz. Like, it's, I don't know, just like everything, even like pieces of the Yellow Brick Road were sold off. Oh my God. Yeah,
I love how this number just keeps going and going,
Mm-hmm.
but in a good way. I'm not meaning in a bad way. Like, this whole thing just feels like, especially how they were panning around to all the different spots on the set. It was so immersive. It was like I was going through Pirates of the Caribbean. The ride is how it feels like.
From now on, you'll be history. You'll be history. You'll be history. And we will go.
I mean, even what was it 2 years ago when we went to the Oscars Museum and they had a whole Wizard of Oz exhibit.
There was this mural they had, or not a mural, but they had a big picture of it, and I couldn't stop staring at it.
Yeah.
And then we have this. Love how unbothered Glinda looks.
I know. I always thought she never gave me good vibes because of that, because she's so like, oh yeah, this just happened.
Oh, it was an accident. I didn't mean to kill anybody. Well, my little pretty, I can cause accidents too.
Which I guess you could say is how Wicked came about.
Well, I mean, here though, I'm kind of seeing it as like she knows she's super powerful and like knows exactly.
She's trying to keep the calm.
No, it's more so like she knows what's gonna happen in these certain situations, but also she's so powerful that she doesn't really care about what the Wicked Witch is gonna do. You know, like in this moment where she was like, "Oh wait, aren't you forgetting the slippers?" It's like, "Oh yeah." She goes, they're gone. It's like, yeah, they're on her now. Good luck trying to get them off, because she knows that's what she wanted. Like she knew this was, at least like in my head canon, she knew this was going to happen, and it was all gonna lead to her.
Has no power here. Be gone before somebody drops a house on you too.
I love how she fucking delivered that shit. You have no power here. Fuck off.
Attend you here and now as I'd like, but just try to stay out of my way. Just try. I'll get you, my pretty.
You have no power here. Be gone. I sure hope that happens to somebody in the next 2 weeks. Again, I don't know if anybody gets a reference, but I can't help but laugh how it's messed up, but like I'm never not gonna see that anymore and not think about what happened to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I guess it's like, oh, she almost died.
They almost all died.
Everyone almost died.
Everybody almost all died.
So I said, it's like after watching the video that we were talking about already, it's like, okay, has anyone kept count of how many people were sent to the hospital through the making of the Wizard of Oz?
Wizard of Oz?
The first 2 weeks.
Is he good or is he wicked? Oh, very good, but very mysterious.
It's not explicitly stated, but I assume Glinda is aware that the wizard isn't really a wizard.
Moment, or you will be at the mercy of the Wicked Witch of the West.
Right?
I think so.
Glinda seems to be like the most aware of everything. So
yeah.
Start at the beginning, and all you do is follow the yellow brick road.
I used to make David do this with me.
Who was David in that scenario? Toto?
Well, when she gets with the scarecrow and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Do the little dance.
People come and go so quickly here. Follow the yellow brick road.
Talk about life. I could have made a really tasteless joke there, but I'm not. I don't know whose name just came into my mind. We were just talking about him. People come and go so quickly here. I'm not going to, though.
Oh, we stopped. What if you follow the red?
Somebody call the head of MGM. Let's make that sequel.
That little step. I used to make it do that with me.
Said that. Don't be silly, Toto. Scarecrows don't talk.
I love how Dorothy talks to her dog like it's a person.
I mean, everyone does that.
Yeah. But how often do they do that in movies?
That is true.
I don't know. I think it's funny that this movie and Alice in Wonderland are one of my favorite movies. Some of my favorite movies.
Why is it funny?
I don't know what that says about me.
Talk if you haven't got a brain.
I don't
That you
know.
have good taste?
Some people without brains do an awful lot of talking, don't they?
Yes, I guess you're right.
I do love, though, how every little bit of the movie, the characters, everything that happens is centered around this idea of, like, maybe that thing you've been searching for all along has always been inside you.
Yeah.
Really uncomfortable.
Which is very
Can't you
wholesome.
get down?
Down? No, you see, I'm...
Oh, well, here, let me...
Which also, I believe, in some instances was the whole thesis for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Actually, I keep thinking about this movie as we're watching it, or that movie as we're watching it.
Guardians?
Uh-huh.
Ah, yeah.
I think, well, the first initial thought was, I feel like this is, like, the first iconic, like, cast. And
Oh,
then
yeah,
my
yeah,
mind
yeah.
went straight to...
Did I scare you?
To Guardians.
Oh, no. I just thought you hurt yourself.
But I didn't scare you?
It's amazing how just absolutely perfect the costumes all look for the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Lion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also unfortunate how they all must have just suffered making this movie.
I got a brain.
Well, what would you do with a brain if you had one?
Do? Why, if I had a brain, I could...
I love, by the way, there was a line he said there. Some people do an awful lot of talking, but don't have a brain.
Yeah. He has really good lines.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if you pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Even the song.
I'd unravel every riddle for any individual in trouble or in pain.
And they also have, the thing that's so underappreciated about all three of them is like they have to do a lot of acting with the entire faces covered up too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yet, this guy's...
And even, like, the way that they use the costumes. Like, the
Yes.
mannerisms. Like, I'm looking at his hands right now.
It reminds me of how Anthony Daniels did C-3PO. It's like, and Anthony Daniels, I believe, was a mime, right? Like, he did something like that.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, he can barely move the body himself, so I really had to come up with ways to, like, you know, be expressive through his body.
Mm-hmm.
Why, of course I will.
Hooray!
I always thought that, like, this part of the Scarecrow's face looked so good.
Like, really good.
No, yeah, the
Yeah.
blending of, like, the makeup to, like, the costume
His
or the
body?
clothing of it and everything, like, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't register to me, like, oh, wait, yeah, it's technically a sack, but,
It's
like...
a sack.
Yeah.
Things he does. We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
I don't know, this is going to sound incredibly stupid, but, like, just watching this movie just feels like you're at Disneyland.
Yeah.
It's understandable.
Ouch!
What do you think you're doing?
I forgot that the trees are alive here. Kind of reminds me of, like, was it Snow White that had that?
Yeah, the creepy part.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And then, of course, the apples.
Oh, no. It's just that she doesn't like little green worms.
Oh, you.
I'll show you how to get apples.
Ah. You see, the movie is just showing you how smart he is already.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with coming up with the comebacks.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just, like, the action of it, but...
Man.
It's scary how
It-
good this looks.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also just scary. The way he's just
Yeah, I
standing
always
there.
thought his face was really creepy.
It is kind of is. It's really
Like
just
when they do the close-ups,
yeah, it's a bit unnerving.
the oil can is such like a ASMR thing to me. Always.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
The click.
First.
He said his mouth.
I actually never noticed it till the last time I saw it, but they're actually shooting out oil. I thought it was just kind of like whatever, but no, they're actually like shooting. Or it's probably not oil, but like
No, it makes perfect sense.
I mean,
Don't-
I wouldn't.
put it past
Get,
him.
yeah.
Come on, I mean, let's not mention the fact that the first actor that was playing this Tin Man, they almost blinded.
No.
Was it
The
who was
first one? The paint. He suffocated the what's it called? Like the paint. He like breathed it in too much that his lungs got coated.
You're right. Who was the one that was almost blinded then?
No, I think it was still him. But
it was the lion.
Really?
No, it was still him, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was this guy.
Yeah, it was still the Tin Man who got like blinded.
God dang. Both of them. He was blinded for 2 weeks, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. So he had to be like stay in the dark room. Yeah, the lion, he was just suffering from overheating. Dehydration, yeah.
The dog.
I know.
Here, Scarecrow. Wanna play ball?
God, that looked pretty great.
Yeah.
It's so sad how not only the actress was harmed with fire, but so was the stunt double.
Oh my gosh.
I know,
Dude.
that was crazy.
Here he is, a whiz of a whiz, if ever a whiz there was. If ever a whiz there was, the Wizard of Oz is one because.
How did they train that dog?
Well, I mean, he was already trained.
And he was he was in multiple movies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Lions and tigers and bears.
Ella and I saw this in the theaters the last time we saw it. When the lion showed up, everyone was laughing at all of his scenes, dude. Like,
no, he's great.
Oh my gosh.
He's great.
So like I hadn't seen it a long time before then, but like when I was watching it, I'm like, holy shit, this guy's hilarious.
Put him
Yes.
up. Which one of you plays? I'll fight you both together if you want. I'll fight you with one paw tied behind my back.
Well, you didn't have to go and hit me, did you? Is my nose bleeding?
Well, of course not.
I love the use of his tail. It's just
Oh my
always
God.
grabbing it. And just the way he moves when he moves too, it's really good.
I haven't slept in weeks.
Why don't you try counting sheep?
That doesn't do any good. I'm afraid of them.
Oh my God.
Now, my beauty. Something with poison in it, I think.
We should also say, it's a lot of famous witches. I mean, clearly the most famous witch, but I feel like most people's imitation of a witch or image of what a witch should sound like and look like comes from her.
Now they'll sleep.
For sure. I think really just like anyone evil in general.
Yeah,
Like having like
yeah.
kind of like the hunchback, the hands.
The
she always-
voice.
Yeah.
Although I do not want to undersell the evil queen from Snow White. Because she's also just the design of the old
Old hag.
witch, and then that laugh. I mean, that's amazing.
You can see it here. It's wonderful. Emerald City.
Are they gonna make it? Sometimes, look again. Same quality. In some frames, it's seamless. In some frames, you see the wall behind them, but it adds to it. It adds to the charm. I mean, I could tell they're not really outside, but it looks great. I could tell those hills in the distance are not really there, but it's a pretty effective effect for 1939. It helps that everything is actually there. Go figure, you know? Jesus.
I wonder what they told her to do at just this moment. Just
Yes, it is. Well, maybe that'll help. Oh, but couldn't help.
Yeah.
Does help.
Thank you, Glenda, for the asbestos. I can't unsee that either. Just fucking, they're swimming in asbestos and like, cancer. What are you doing? They're breathing in it. How many takes did they do of this?
hopefully just one.
Kings of the earth or the sky.
That's a great shot right there.
Uh-huh.
I think another reason why like this painted backgrounds just work so much better is because you know the limits of that, like what it can do to kind of like immerse you within this world and all that. With CG, you know the limits too, and when it goes lower than that, it's just like, what are you doing? Like, what the hell? Like, you know, like the shot of them, you know, walking towards the city and everything. Yeah, like you mentioned, it's like, you know, it's a painted background and everything, but it still looks beautiful compared to what you get in CG.
Take us to see the wizard?
The wizard? The wizard? I can't. Where?
If you watch the Oz movie, how does it tie in? I mean, I know it's like his origin story, but like,
I don't remember.
Okay.
I know I was like trying to like give you a good answer, but I'm like,
I wish I knew.
I wish I remembered.
Chirp, 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 and a couple of la-dee-daws. That's how the crickets wriggled.
As a kid, this is just my favorite scene, just because of the horse.
I do think that the horses were harmed in the making of this movie.
I mean, everyone was.
Why is it changing color?
That's true. That's true. Everybody was harmed in the making of this movie.
Except maybe Louis B. Mayer.
It did lose money, so temporarily.
Right.
You're the finest! Not queen, not duke.
You're watching Full House, and what's his name? The comedian guy would like always try to. No, is it Joey? Which one's the uncle?
Uncle Joey?
Yeah, Uncle Joey. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He would always impersonate the lion and everything.
Yeah, I see it.
There was even an episode where like they were supposed to watch The Wizard of Oz, but the lights went out, and he just recreated like the whole movie with like a whole bunch of props and everything. It was so good.
Like how the whole movie just stopped to give him a solo.
Yeah.
She may be dying, and it's all my fault.
God damn.
That's how hot it was.
What happened? Somebody pulled my tail. You did it yourself.
It's literally me.
That was you watching Smile. Tell me when it's over.
The beneficent Oz has every intention of granting your requests.
What's that? What'd you say? Huh? What'd you say?
Bring me her broomstick, and I'll grant your requests. Now go.
But what if she kills us first?
That's the idea. That's the idea. I mean, sure. Honestly.
As a kid, I always laughed at this part.
When the lion just like crashed through?
Yeah.
There's something that's just always creepy about dark forests.
Mm-hmm.
No matter where, what it is.
Mm-hmm. Except maybe Into the Woods.
Agony! I mean...
I don't even remember the movie, so I can't even
I don't either.
Scarecrow's walking stick, it just keeps bending, so it's not even like a good stick. Did you notice it?
Mm-hmm. That is pretty nightmare fuelish, you know?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, just getting picked up and swept away by that, I mean...
You see that? That's how much longer you've got to be alive. And it isn't long, my pretty. It isn't long.
What if she just turned it when I went?
I know, I'm all just... Blip.
Yeah, and she's like, what'd you do to it? It's nothing. It's a slow hourglass, I don't know.
What a bitch. She really is the Green Goblin. I mean, seriously. And then also, if you think about it, Dorothy's like Peter Parker, because Dorothy and Peter Parker are also orphans, I guess. With Is Dorothy considered an orphan? Because, I mean, she lives with her aunt and uncle, so...
Yeah, in the video, I think they said that there was a line that the uncle says, being like, oh, it's such a tragedy ever since her parents died, or something like that.
Damn, Toto made quick work.
Yeah, in the video too, it also mentioned that there was like a whole dance sequence in the forest, like in this dark forest. But they cut it out because it just would have taken away from the tension.
We haven't got the oil can with us, and you've been squeaking enough as it is. Who's them? Who's them?
I don't know why, but it almost sounds like the damn Ewoks. Remember in Return of the Jedi? They have a similar sounding chant. They kind of do if you can hear it.
Talk me out of him. No, you don't. No.
I do love the fact that they win, though.
Yeah.
Because they could have easily done it with, like, you know, they pull 3 guards towards him and beat him up or something like that. But it's like, no, they went cut off guard. Like, they were determined to win.
Imagine if this was still there.
The castle?
And it was part of the, like, the Warner Brothers thing.
Oh, yeah. That would be a cool tour.
It's a shame it's not.
I also like that the axe became useful right in this moment, too.
Finally, right?
Yeah.
Let them think about it a little first.
Oh, another smart thing that Scarecrow did.
The last to go will see the first 3 go before her. And your mangy little dog, too.
Oh my god. That is so dark.
Oh, what a world, what a world. Who would have thought a good little girl like you could destroy my beautiful wickedness?
This would be my one complaint for the story, just how she gets defeated. And I really liked in Once Upon a Time when the Wicked Witch showed up in the show, she gets defeated like that by Dorothy, and she's just like, they really thought water was just gonna kill me?
I said come back tomorrow!
If you were really great,
Toto's like, watch this.
Do you presume to criticize the great Oz?
The curtain was there the whole time?
Yeah. One thing I'm curious though, are they gonna mention the fact that he was the guard by the door? Or not? That's the thing I can't remember.
Both doors.
Both doors, yeah.
Oh. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. The great Oz has...
The man behind the curtain. That's such a big, like...
Sum of the square roots of any 2 sides of an isosceles triangle is equal to the square root of the remaining side. Oh, joy! Rapture! I've got a brain!
And I don't know what that meant, but okay.
And remember, my sentimental friend, that a heart is not judged by how much you love, but by how much you are loved by others.
Well, it depends. Depends on who loves you. Again, 2 weeks. When you think about it, did Glinda plot this from the beginning? Like, she just got rid of her main competition in one day. The Wicked Witch of the West and Oz are just gone now.
I think that's what Wicked is about.
No, are you serious?
Well, she's the bad one.
Then why didn't you tell her before?
Who's the bad one?
Because she wouldn't have
She
believed
is.
me. She had to learn it for herself.
What have you learned?
Like, she's still Glinda the Good Witch, but she's, like, a bitch. I think. Don't quote me, because, like I said, I don't really know the story.
Yeah,
But
from what it seems from the trailer, it just seems like a story about how the Wicked Witch was purposely made into the Wicked Witch because.
But was it
Oz
Glinda that do that, or was it Oz and the other people?
It was
I
Oz.
think it was everybody.
I don't
Yeah,
know. Well, I don't know
Oz.
about Glinda, but I know for
Well,
sure.
everybody
Oz,
is everybody, I guess.
and pretty much, yeah, everyone else did that. But I don't know if like Glinda was in on it or she kind of had to go along with it or what. I don't know.
Oh, Annie M. There's no place like home.
I don't know. We went through the whole thing. We didn't even mention the really hard reality. Look, a lot of people were injured, but the stories that have come out, and everyone knows about, what Judy Garland was put through during the making of this movie. It's just a classic film, and I feel like every time I watch that, it's like watching it again for the first time over. Guys, take it away.
No, it's really great watching this, especially like over and over again. You just notice different things every time I watch it. Just the ways in they act and their acting, especially like with the Scarecrow. Like I never really noticed like how much he literally just uses his legs for his acting. I mean, there's the obvious ones where he's like all wobbly and everything, but even just like in his regular walking, it's almost kind of like he's sliding his feet, like dragging his feet and everything. It's kind of cool. But yeah, you mentioned it. It's a classic. It never gets old, really.
No, it doesn't. Alexis?
I love this movie so much. I feel like, you can kind of say with how we reacted right now, like we literally are sucked into this movie.
Yeah. What was it like watching this in the theater?
Oh, it was just super fun, for sure. Like I said, all of the line scenes, everyone was laughing. It was great.
Yeah, and it's like, it was cool to see old people and young people, and like, it's completely timeless, and I don't know. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and it's definitely, I saw one of the reviews was like, I was watching this movie while wrapping Christmas presents. Not a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bad idea. I think it definitely does have a little bit of a enchanting Christmas vibe, but it's also just going to be a story that is just hard, really, to find in any way off-putting. This is such an amazing, beautiful film. I do wonder, though, this year, 1939, also had Gone with the Wind. And Gone with the Wind, obviously, was the more adult movie, and it won Best Picture. If you had it your way, would you have have it still win, or would you have given it to Wizard of Oz? And I know this is kind of like asking choosing between. I know I mentioned that Wizard of Oz is like the movie. So is Gone with the Wind.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's incredible that we got those two movies.
And Victor Fleming is credited as the director of both of them.
Oh, that's difficult.
Yeah, that's...
Because I feel like...
Because it's almost like you want me to compare... what was it? Killers of the Flower Moon with like West Side Story or something. It's kind of like both are great, but I like them for very different reasons.
Or even Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just kind of that thing again, which I mean is great because I feel like I wouldn't have been able to choose like the year that it came out, but like now that obviously there's been some time since the movies came out, I would say I would probably give it to Wizard of Oz because I think it has withstood time more than with Gone with the Wind. I don't really know too many people that have seen Gone with the Wind.
Compared
it's a great movie
to Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard watch. It is. Because it's, like, what, 4 hours long, I think? I remember I made my family watch it. And we had to, I mean, they do have, like, that Titanic thing where, like, they...
Intermission.
The intermission.
And, you know, we were there, like, all day trying to finish the movie, and I was loving it. I think they liked it, but it was, you know, it was a hard watch.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention, of course, the other aspects about it that aren't, I mean, just the whole controversy.
Yes. But Wizard of Oz is just, it's a special movie. Again, timeless. And it's made for everybody. Whereas I think Gone with the Wind is not made for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I would say I would give it to the Wizard of Oz, but obviously, like, if I were there in the room back then, I don't know what I would have chosen.
I mean, for one, you have to be alive.
True.
But you were, so so you were actually there at the Academy Awards. You saw it happen in real time. So yeah, women couldn't vote that year in the Academy. So I'm kidding, of course. Although, am I? Exactly. Well, we're going to go ahead and end it off here. We so hope that all of you watching and listening have enjoyed the film and, of course, watching it with us. We had a great time. And thank you, Alexis and David, for being here. And we'll catch you for more content here under our Red Spotlight. We'll see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.